Namaste everyone. We have Pravin Bhagwat today, and he's going to talk about 14 trees. And I will read the introduction that's given by his friend Bal Turpek. I'd like to introduce my friend Dr. Pravin Bhagwat, who created and manages the 14 Trees organization. And the primary objective of 14 trees is to plant and nurture trees in an environmentally sensitive way on the public and private barren lands for the purpose of CO2 sequestration. Okay. His team has planted thousands of trees on groves and dug rainwater ponds to water them with donations from public and private organizations, including the organization Charitable Trust by R.M. Tulpule Charitable Trust. So his team is now engaged in quantifying the levels of carbon dioxide captured so that these efforts can be adjusted as needed. So welcome Pravin to Shri Yoga platform, and looking forward to hearing more about what you do and what kind of help we can provide. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Shri, for inviting me for this session today evening. And I want to actually begin by saying thank you to Mr. Bhal Trupre. I met him a couple of days at his home in DC, and I think that's how he introduced me to this group. My name is Pravin Bhagwat, and professionally, I am a technology entrepreneur. I used to be a professor earlier of computer science, but lately, since I have started Vanaprastha life, my kind of interests have changed over the years, and now I am involved full-time in the activity of restoring damaged spaces in nature. So idea is to take barren lands, which once upon a time were forest, and humans through their actions have destroyed vegetation. So how do we sort of bring those spaces back to their original pristine form? That is what I have been working on over the years. And as far as sort of today's session is concerned, I'll highly recommend all of you to be let's make it a more interactive session. I have a lot to share in terms of stories, my experiences, what we do. So instead of, I would say, reserving questions till the very end, feel free to interrupt the flow of this presentation, and that way I will know exactly what is in your mind, and I can kind of take the presentation in that direction. So not going to follow any particular script, but we will go with the flow as the questions are coming up. So I'm going to tell you today about the story of Project 14 Trees. Why I call it 14 Trees will become clear in a due course of time as this session progresses. But as the visual at the top right of the slide shows, I used to be a tech entrepreneur in the area of networking, and have done quite a bit of work in the area of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. In fact, I was part of the team at IBM Research in mid-90s, which created early prototype of what we know today as Wi-Fi technology. And the last, I would say 20 years since then, I've been working in building technology around Wi-Fi. But that chapter of my life is sort of now, I would say, coming to an end, and I'm starting a new chapter in life, which is to do with rejuvenation of nature and forest. So the story that goes like this, that about 12 years ago, I became sort of this thought of actually taking some action and doing something in the area of nature conservation environment became a strong thought in my mind. So I was looking for a piece of land near Pune, because Pune is where I live, and I was searching for a land. So this is the piece of land I acquired, and it became my laboratory to do experiments with nature conservation, restoration, and ecology restoration. And the story of this land is that it used to be a jungle once upon a time. People have removed all the vegetation. Now it's mostly a grassland. Um, and this became sort of my laboratory. And I'll show you the next picture. This picture is taken exactly in the same camera position where the previous picture I showed you was taken. And this fantastic transformation that we see here happened over a period of about 9 years. And the nice thing about this experiment is that we did not bring anything from outside. No water was brought from outside, no soil was brought from outside, no fertilizer was brought from outside. We just allowed the nature to take, sort of unleash its own power to repair and restore the land. And once this experiment became successful, sort of the ambition grew that what will it take to scale it up to a larger level. And that because I, coming from a tech background, whenever we build a technology, we always think, how do we scale it to a larger level? So scaling this to a larger level became an ambition. And when I started spending a bit of more time in the area, I found out that the neighboring region used to be a thick forest if you go back into the history of 50, 60, 70 years ago. But today, if you look at the Google map, Google Earth maps, the entire area looks completely devoid of the green cover. So this is the result of the human intervention in the area, that all the forest cover is gone and the land has been turned into a grassland. And during the monsoon time, a lot of grass grows here, and that grass is fed to the cattle, which provides a lot of livelihood to people. But after the grazing season is over, people burn the land, and thousands of hectares are burned every year. So it results in a lot of CO2 emission, obviously. It also results in a lot of loss of biodiversity, all the insects, birds, butterflies, their habitat, everything is kind of gone. And all those species which naturally regenerate after rains also get destroyed. Only the grass comes back. So this is the cheapest way to clear the land. Burning the land is the cheapest way to clear the land. And this is a very common practice used in the entire Sahyadri region, as well as, good parts of India. So this sight of, getting large landscapes being burnt every year, I used to see it, and it sort of bothered me at somewhere at the core of my heart that, why are we doing this? There has to be an alternative. There has to be a better way of managing the land resource, and in a way so that we exist or in harmony with nature, where everyone's needs are met. Yeah, definitely we need fodder for the cattle. We definitely need livelihoods, but we also need spaces for the other life forms beyond humans, the insects, the butterflies, the animals, and so on. And somehow the scene which I was seeing unfolding in front of my eyes were becoming, a point of reflection and something that, I thought, something that I need to do something about. So that's how the whole experiment started. That we said, well, let's figure out how we can restore the damage. So when we all work in software, and if you make a mistake, we press an undo button, which restores it to a previous state. So the thought was, can we create an undo button on nature so that the damage that we have caused can be brought back to the original life? Now, water is the key. If you want to restore life forms, you have to have water. And I didn't want a solution where we are pumping water from long distances by spending a lot of electricity, spending a lot of fossil fuel. Why not do a better job of managing the rainwater that is already available? Because in the months of June, July, August, September, a good amount of rain. So can we find a way to hold the rain? The problem is the rainwater just flows out. We are not able to hold it. So we started digging these ponds in the basalt rock layer so that the water can be held when the rains happen. So we got a good amount of success that about half of the ponds that we dug were able to hold water. By the remaining half became like a percolation pond. So the water used to accumulate, but used to percolate down into the ground. And this is the budget within which we have to live for the entire year, because rainy season you have plenty of water, but when the months of March, April, May come, that is the time when you need water to be able to supply to the sapling. So the technique we developed is we'll dig these large ponds, hold the water, and whatever budget of water we have within that, how many saplings we can support, those are the only saplings we'll plant. And slowly this effort started. So once we have made arrangement for the water, the next question comes: what kind of vegetation needs to be brought there? Now, this is not an agroforestry project where you plant trees to generate wood or timber or fruits to sell to the market. This is a reforestation project. We want to bring back the original habitat that existed. Now, luckily, I got a good guidance from an organization named Ecological Society, which is a collection of ecologists and botanists, and they have studied flora and fauna of the Sahyadri mountain range. And they gave me a list of plants which used to exist in that region. Now, these are the plants which are fodder for the animals. These are the plants which provide, food for the butterflies and insects and birds. These are not commercial varieties. So you go to any commercial nursery and you will not find the saplings at all. So we created our own nursery and sent our team members, tribal team members, to the forest to collect the seeds, prepare the saplings, and those are the saplings that we are slowly started planting. And once you plant the right original habitat, the life starts to kind of come back. You start seeing insects, you start seeing predators, birds, and so on, and you give it time, and the life sort of restores. So this entire project is not being done with a view of extracting some returns on investment. I think enough damage has been done to the nature that it's now time to us to kind of invest our energy to undo the damage rather than expecting economic returns from everything that we do. Now, the species that we plant are also food for the cattle, because these are the native species which the goats and the cattle eat. So if you don't protect the sapling, they will get eaten up, will not survive. So to protect the saplings that we are planting, we protect them using a bamboo tree guard. Now we are planting trees in thousands of numbers. So we need these tree guards in thousands of numbers. So a nice thing happened that a mini industry got spawned around our project, where tribals started manufacturing these tree guards and we started buying them. And a nice sort of symbiotic relationship developed, that we are generating jobs, we are generating work for them. They are using bamboo, creating tree guards, and we are buying from them. And these are highly biodegradable. After 3 or 4 years, these automatically degrade and mix into the soil. No residue which could be potentially harmful for the environment is created at all. So to recap, barren land, we first make arrangement for water, plant native saplings, protect them for 3 to 4 years, and the jungle basically starts to come back. So once we got some success with this approach, now the ambition has grown. How do we scale it to a larger level? Now, because I am coming from a tech background, we are trying to do this work in a very systematic fashion so that this becomes a larger laboratory to also study questions of climate resilience, questions of carbon sequestration, how do we develop methodology to do it at scale, and so on, rather than taking ad hoc methods to doing it. So this entire thing that I talked about, I found was an easy part of the project. Dig ponds, store water, plant, protect, and so on. The harder part of the project actually was striking some sort of a human alignment. And I tell you what I mean by that. At any space, when you attempt to do something like this, there are many stakeholders. There's a local farmer who is looking for livelihood. There's a local sarpanch who has got political ambitions. There are, people who are eyeing land. They are seeing, when the city can grow here and they can sell it at a larger price. Uh, so there are a whole bunch of stakeholders. And what I found that aligning their interests so that they will agree to an experiment of this sort happening in that area was a much, much harder problem. And one of the realization was that earlier I used to run a company. Once you are running an commercial organization, you are in a position of authority and control. So whatever you say happens because the team members have to follow your orders. But in a setting like this, when you're in a social sector, surrounded by so many other stakeholders, you are not in a position of authority and control. So you have to somehow align their interests to what you're doing. And I found this to be a fairly complex and a hard problem. And I think the complexity of this whole problem is what drew me deeper and deeper into this project over a period of time. Because I, coming from a computer science background, don't have any special expertise in forestation, ecology, biology, or botany at all. So those part I found that I could lean on help from the experts, but it is the human management is the area where I found was a very, very interesting domain. And I'll show you some examples of how we have attacked this problem, which is the interesting part of the project. So first example I'll give you, this is a picture of an attendance board, which is at the project site, which is near Pune. Earlier, we used to take roll call, call all the names. There are close to now 220 tribal workers who are employed in this project. Earlier number was 5, and our team size has grown from 5 to around 220. So at some point, my elder daughter, who was a student at NID Ahmedabad, which is a design school, and during COVID lockdown, she came home, and I used to take her to the project site. So she observed that how we were doing the attendance. We were calling names and asking people, are they present or absent? And she came up with the idea, rather than doing it this way, why don't we create this kind of a board where everyone's pictures are there? And this board actually shows not only who's at work, but also shows which site they have been assigned to work on that day. And something very fantastic happened after this board was put up. The workers started, feeling connected with the project. This is the first time in their life they felt that, their identity was being recognized, that they are an individual and they are being respected in that way. And some sort of emotional bond got created. And the visitors used to look at the board and they used to appreciate, oh, this is nice. People used to take pictures, share it with other people. So a sense of appreciation automatically started flowing. And then this picture became viral in the Adivasi community in that area. And what we noticed that more and more people came to us saying, hey, we also would like to have our picture on the board. So normally people say, these days labor is a problem. If you go into rural areas and so on, we have actually the inverse problem. We now have more people wanting to join and become part of this initiative. And we are now trying to figure out how we can kind of accommodate more and more of them. So the key lesson was that we kind of struck an emotional chord with our workforce. And that did the magic. The people felt that they were part of a larger purpose. They were doing some meaningful work. And the project got the necessary support and energy it sort of very much needed. Now, second example I'll give you. We did a plantation along the roadside near the village, the road that leads up to the project site. And one day I got the list of all villagers from the Sarpanch, and we created nameplates in the name of every villager and installed these nameplates on the trees along the roadside. So one fine morning, villagers woke up and they saw there's a tree in their name. And people were like amused, what is this? I mean, who did it? Why did it? Is it some government scheme where some money has come to, make a tree in their name? And he said, no, this is not a government scheme. This is just a 14 trees project. So it's not that, people started to water their own trees, which is in their name. That didn't happen. And we weren't even expecting that to happen. But something very interesting happened, and that the person whom we had given the contract to water the trees along the roadside, that person has a habit of, doing one trip and billing us for five. Because over the years, he has learned this art that, you can overcharge and not do enough work. Now, the local villagers actually spotted him that he isn't showing up every day. And they started chasing him. Hey, you were not seen watering these trees yesterday. Go back and go and do it. So the whole monitoring, which was our headache earlier, shifted to the locals, and the locals big involved, and they started pressurizing the contractor to kind of go and do his job. And that did the magic. That after 4 years of this plantation, close to around 95% trees have survived, because there's now locals wanting that to happen. So this was not a designed to result in this way. It's just something happened. So one realization I had was that something magical happens when you connect names to trees. And at the project site, one thing we have done is every sapling we have given it a ID identifier. So there in our database we have a list of all the trees we have planted, their numbers, and whenever somebody from city comes and they plant a tree, we associate that particular tree, their name with that tree. So each tree that is planted at the project site has a person behind them. The person who himself either has come, himself or herself who has come to plant it, or somebody who has chosen to adopt that tree. And with this primitive, where you start mapping names to trees, I created a grove in the name of all the professors who had taught me when I was a student at IIT Kanpur. So I graduated from Kanpur in year 1990, and they had invited me to give a talk in year 2020 February, and that's when I went there, and I got a list of around 750 faculty members who had played a very pivotal role in building of the institute, and I mapped their names to the trees which were at the site, and an IIT Kanpur faculty grove got created. Now, when I shared this news with the director, he was very appreciative. At least students are remembering their professors even after so many years. So it kind of created a lot of feel-good factor. And then during COVID lockdown period, I proposed to the director that, look, since we cannot have a institute wanted to celebrate its diamond jubilee, and director had this plan to go all over the world, meet with the alumni, and all those visits were cancelled because of the lockdown. So I made a proposal to the director that let's plant a tree in the name of every graduate of the institute. And he said, this is a beautiful idea, let's go ahead and do it. So the director himself came to inaugurate the whole initiative. And now we are conducting a drive of plantation where there is a tree in the name of every graduate of IIT Kanpur. Now, slowly, this word that there is a tree in the name of every graduate spread. And Pune is a backyard of IIT Bombay. Actually, this is actually showing that across the batches, alumni have started to come to visit the site and basically participate in this whole initiative. So we have alumni from batches as old as 1969, 70, 71, all the way up to the latest batches are sort of beginning to participate. So in a very sense, it's like a crowdsourced movement. Now, when this work, when the message spread to IIT Bombay alumni, they said, this is a nice idea. Why don't we also do something similar? So one alumni, his name is Shirish Devdhar. He's a graduate of IIT Bombay. He said, look, I would like a trees planted in the name of all faculty members who have taught me. So we've created an IIT Bombay faculty grove. Now, slowly this word is spreading. So COEP Pune, VIT, then IIT Delhi, so organically the word is spreading, and I'm hoping that there are about 10,000 plus alumni groups in India. So if we can activate such groups, so many more trees can be planted on this planet Earth, and such barren spaces can be transformed. So we are not limited only to doing this for the alumni groups only. Any thought or an idea, for example. So we have, for example, one area designated for Smriti Van, So people who want to plant trees in memory of their loved ones, their grandfather, or other members in the family who are no longer with them, they themselves are coming and planting. So we have an area designated as Smriti Van. We have a birthday grove where people are planting trees and gifting as birthday gifts to their loved ones. We have anniversary grove. We have graduation groves. Then the social groups like Rotary clubs, Lions Club, typically have members of the order of somewhere between 25, 30 to 100 people, and they come together and say, look, let's take an area and sponsor a set of trees. So we have a Rotary grove. So basically this general concept of people coming together and taking it as a group activity and saying, look, let there be trees in their name or their association name is catching on. And more flavors of these groves are gradually coming up. Now, in this context, I want to share a very interesting example. I am a computer scientist by training and profession. And
Just one quick question. Are all
Sure,
these
please.
the groups are at the same location or different locations in the...
Yeah. So we have a 200-acre site, which is an area that we have acquired, the land we have acquired to create a demonstration of what is possible. And by looking at this demonstration, many neighboring villages are giving their land to us, the barren land. So the project has now spread to around 1,400 acres, spread across 22 villages near the main site. So these groves are scattered throughout different spaces within 25 to 30 kilometer radius of the main project site. So at the moment, the project is based in the Khed taluka of Pune. But our vision is that slowly we want to create such spaces wherever there are, people who want to join this movement and start a journey of this sort. So in some sense, it is a crowdsourced reforestation project where people are coming together, contributing and helping. And each tree has some group or a name associated with it. That's basically the essence of the idea. Now, and any more question? In fact, we can take a small pause here, and before I go further, uh, something that is on top of anyone's mind, we can certainly discuss that and before proceeding further.
माझा प्रश्न हा आहे की मग ते राजकारणी लोकांचं काय झालं, त्यांना ते पटतंय का तुम्ही जे करताय ते?
कसं आहे की since your question is in Marathi, I will take a shot at answering it also in Marathi. I mentioned that human alignment is the toughest part of the puzzle. So your question, तुमचा जो प्रश्न आहे तो त्याच्याशी जोडलेला आहे की आता आम्ही काय करतोय की वी आर कीपिंग अवर व्हेरी जेन्युइन इंटेंट की आम्हाला असं करायचं आहे आणि एनी टेम्पटेशन टू टेक शॉर्टकट्स आणि we are avoiding. We are staying true to our cause. And we are avoiding publicity, unnecessary social media. We are just staying heads down and just doing our work. That is the approach we are taking. And we think that with this approach, we will be able to appeal to the good senses of anyone and hopefully eliminate the barriers. But yes, ह्या गावामध्ये भरपूर barriers आहेत. And it's not an easy thing to do. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
How are you pumping this water from the water ponds to the saplings?
So initially, when the project started, when we had very, very little resources or almost no resources, it was being done manually.
Oh.
And slowly, as the project has scaled, we have started using pumps. But then we realized that we are burning some fossil fuel to pump the water out. Right? Hey, these are petrol pumps.
Right.
So now, recently, thanks to RM Turpade Foundation, they sponsored some solar pumps to us. So we are switching slowly to use of solar panels because we need water only when there is a heat and very, in the summertime. We don't need water when it is cloudy season. So it's a perfect application of solar powered pumps. So our intent is in few years we want to become completely fossil fuel free in terms of our usage of energy and make sure that we use only renewable energy sources to pump the water out. But today it's a combination of manual and some petrol pumps.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Yeah. And feel free to interrupt me. No problem at all. So I'll give an example of this ACM Grow. ACM actually stands for Association of Computing Machinery. So some of you may have heard of a term called IEEE, which is the Association of Electrical Engineers. So similarly, Association of Computing Machinery is a professional body of computer scientists. And so all the conferences in computer science are organized by ACM body. It's an international body, but they also have chapters in all countries, including India. So the president of ACM India, Dr. Hemant Pandey, once came and saw the project, and he was quite, I would say, impressed by what he saw. And he immediately suggested an idea that whenever conferences are held and they give a gift to the keynote speaker, typical tradition is to either give a bouquet or some kind of a trophy or a plaque. But he said, he would like to gift a tree which is being planted at this project site. That will be a so much more powerful and meaningful gift. So he said, this is a great idea. And that's how we started turning these trees into giftable entities. And luckily, my elder daughter is a designer and an artist. So she started making sketches. So in this slide at the bottom, you will see the sketch of a kanchan tree, sketch of an umber tree, currants tree, or moho tree. So these are, handmade watercolor paintings and something illustrated on computer. And using these beautiful images, we started creating gift cards. And each gift card has a barcode. If you scan the barcode, you will see the tree which is planted in your name. So this idea, which was initially prompted by Hemant's ask, became a big hit. So when prominent personalities are invited to India, ACM gives them a tree. So here is an example of Robert Metcalfe, who was a Turing Award winner of year 2023. Jeff Dean is a very famous personality in AI field. He is the head of Google AI. And all of these people actually highly appreciated this gift of a tree because they now don't have to carry any physical material with them, and people actually don't know what to do with those trophies. So this idea is gradually growing. People who are receiving this gift are saying, I'm going to do the same to the events that I do. And slowly, this is increasing the pool of people who are now coming and supporting the trees that we have planted. So as I mentioned, ours is a crowd-funded project. And the way the crowdfunding is coming is that people are, gifting trees on the occasion of marriage, on the occasion of birthday, on the occasion of professional events, or anything of that sort. So our vision is, if more and more people do that, the finances for doing this kind of work will get generated automatically. And we are seeing the beginning of this exercise through the efforts that we have done. So to kind of recap, I'll tell you, the organization we are running is not just about planting trees, but in fact, we have a much broader and a more deeper vision that we are trying to execute. The first aim of
one question: whoever has bought a tree or in his name, does he get any updates about that tree? How that tree is doing?
Yeah. So every tree has a unique web address, unique URL. So the card has a barcode, you can scan it and see the tree and exact location where it is planted. Every year, we take a photograph of that tree and link it to the dashboard which you have access to. So in 3 to 4 years' time, you will see how the tree which was sponsored is actually growing. And our vision is also to share more updates down the road. We haven't built the software for doing that yet. But things like once the tree grows up, if a bird is spotted, you will get an alert someday, here is a beautiful bird which was spotted on the tree which you help support. Now, as you can imagine, in addition to being a reforestation project, this project also requires investment in the technology backend to be able to deliver such updates to people. That is in our roadmap, and we want to do that. At the moment, the project is running through volunteers' effort and time. So we have an open source software development project also, which is running along with it. And the speed with which we can deliver the features that you ask for will depend on the speed at which we are able to get the volunteers' help to help us execute on our plan. But yes, that is the vision and the direction where we are headed. Yes. And the interesting thing is that this activity generates a lot of meaningful green employment. That so many young tribal kids are now going around all project sites, tracking every sapling, reading their numbers, putting the tags, taking the pictures, using Android phones to upload those images to the cloud. And a lot of kind of good energy is being tapped and being turned this way so that the support group is assured that their investment is actually being used in a very meaningful way. So to recap what I was saying, there are 3 core, I would say, goals of the project. The first one is we are doing this project to bring about a tangible environmental impact. And I talked about a nature's undo button, that whatever damage we have caused, can we press an undo button and restore it back to its original form? That is the primary goal. So we are not just about trying to set a Guinness Book of World Record of how many trees planted in a day. We are trying to stay away from those marketing strategies, but instead work in such a way that the degraded land gets completely transformed, water comes back, the species come back, diversity comes back. That's the sole mission, or the primary mission of the project. Now, what we realize is that if you fence an area and don't allow humans to enter, your goal will be achieved in 100 years, because nature has the power to heal itself. The problem is humans will not let it happen. If you put the fence, they will break the fence, they will come in, they will burn, they will cut, they will destroy. So unless you align human interest with your conservation project, the project cannot succeed. And that is our next mission. The way we align human interest is we create jobs, we create micro enterprises, we give empowerment to people so that they earn their livelihood out of the project. So once their economic needs and interests are met, you have a higher chance of conserving and protecting the land. So we are not just hiring contract labor to dig pits and plant sapling and tell them, now the job is done, you go away home. Instead, we are looking at how do we give them a sustained long-term employment? How do we do skilling for them? How do we build micro enterprises for them? And this is the reason the project is moving slow, and it takes a larger amount of investment to actually achieve this objective. But I'm fully convinced that without keeping this as an objective, the goal cannot be met. So to recap, repair the damage to the nature, but alongside create livelihood and employment opportunities for the people who are living around that area. Now, something interesting at the bottom right corner of the slide, that there are many young generation people who are now inspired to work in the area of climate action. They see that their generation is going to suffer unless they become more actively involved in nature and conservation. we cannot expect these young boys to sort of, or girls to work for free as a volunteers. So we are also trying to enable them to build their own consulting practices in the sustainability space, help them start their startups. So we are trying to do both things. At the bottom of the pyramid, we are incubating ventures and micro enterprises. But at the top of the pyramid, also, we are enabling young urban kids and girls to think of a career in area of sustainability and become, sustainable architects, become sustainable designers, and become a software developers who's building enterprises in the area of sustainability. And I'll give you a few more examples of this in the subsequent slides. So to recap, repair the nature, create economic opportunities for people around the project. And the third is we are doing it in such a way that we can appeal to the broader masses, connect them to such causes. And this is where the idea of connecting names to trees comes in. That when people realize that, no, there is a tree in my grandfather's name there. There's a tree which I have gifted to somebody on the birthday. They, even though they are remote, they are emotionally connected and want, that experiment to succeed and survive. So these are the three main goals that we are trying to achieve: repair the nature damage, create economic opportunities, and connect the masses to the mission.
So one question, does whoever gets the tree, does it get a choice about what kind of tree it's going to be planted, or is something that you decide?
So at the moment, see, initially we had experimented with the idea of giving choices to people. And later we realized that people only know of, few varieties. They have heard of mango, they have heard of, jamun, they have heard of pimper and umber. There are, 430 other varieties which they have never heard of. And we are not finding people to sponsor those because they've never heard of it. So what we have now decided, we are taking consultation from the ecologist and botanist. We have chosen the palette, and we are now asking people to sponsor the count of trees. But the choice of which trees to plant, we depend on the experts' advice, because we are creating different types of grows. So unless some real expert comes and, we will certainly be open. But if we give that choices to people, I'm afraid that the whole landscape will get dominated by only 5-10 species, and there will not be space for others.
And your emphasis is on the native plants and trees, right? Not on something that's more commercially usable. Okay.
No, because I think there is enough commercial plantations happening all over the world. Jungles in Indonesia are being, cleared to create commercial plantation. I don't think we want to add to that.
Okay.
We want to kind of bring the original vegetation back. So there is no commercial motive behind this product at all. It is basically, in some sense, we are paying back to our nature what we have taken back from it. So this slide just shows you some examples of micro enterprises that we are incubating. There's a bamboo tree guard venture which has been spawned. There is a 8 natural nursery venture which has been spawned. There's a lady who makes beautiful banana chips. So we are trying to enable her to become an entrepreneur who can make it a larger quantity and supply those things. There are some tribals who have learned the art of making stone houses. So they can essentially create an enterprise around making of stone houses. There are tribals who are collecting seeds from jungles, so that seed collection can become an enterprise. And there are many other examples. There are about 24 plus different ideas that we are currently working on. And the hope is that in a few years, we will turn each one of them into a source of livelihood for a group of people. These are 2 success stories. On the left is a person named Akash Singh. He was a volunteer with us, and he has become, he started a company called Spreehay.com. It's a high-tech startup, currently employs around 40 people. They raised $3 million angel funding, and they are building a cloud-based platform for emission accounting. And it's kind of interesting how the company got created. One day, there are these four people that you see in this picture. They came to see the project who did not know each other. And for the first time, they met each other. And they clicked so well with each other that 6 months later, they came together as a founding team to start this venture called Spree.com. And they left their respective jobs and this venture came up. So this space provided a ground where this meeting of mind could happen, and a beautiful venture came out. Likewise, in the previous slide, this person, his name is Anant, and he runs a venture called 8 Naturals, which is the nursery that supplies saplings to us. Initially, nursery was part of our project, but we spun it off as a separate venture. Now, he's employing 15 tribals to scale up the nursery, and we are buying those saplings and planting. So this is an example of how we have helped create 2 ventures, and in future, we are going to be doing more. And this is the founding team, which is now running a venture called Spree.com. So few more ideas we are currently working on. So for example, this idea of making gift cards and for different occasion with beautiful sketches and drawing could also become a startup, because there are startups here which help you plan events and generate gift cards. So why not a sustainable gifting? And other pictures also refer to other ideas that we are working on. But you get an idea that it's not just about planting trees, but also creating a complete ecosystem around it so that the activity can nurture and flourish and grow.
So, do you do anything to encourage birds and animals to be in that area?
See, it happens automatically. Once the right type of vegetation is brought in, insect population starts growing. Once the insects are there, then the birds come to feed on them. And birds also nest on a very specific type of trees. You can't, each tree hosts a different type of birds. So once those trees are growing, then automatically those homes get created. So to give an example, in year 2013, when we started the project, we had gotten a biodiversity survey done in this area. And the ecologists had noted around 15 different bird species in that area. 10 years later, when we did the same survey in the same area, and we noticed 85 different types of birds were spotted. So the number grew from 15 to 85 just because the food, the habitat was available in that area. So you don't have to, bring in something. In fact, some of the ponds that we have dug, we see fish in them. Now, we never introduce fish in those ponds. And it's kind of amazing that on the top of a hill, how do you see a fish in the pond? So when the birds come in, sometimes the eggs are attached to their feet. And that's how the eggs come into the water and the fish gets introduced into the... So nature has a very beautiful way of finding pathways to regenerate itself. We just have to provide that opportunity for the nature. So now in this landscape of charred earth, we have taken control of some spaces, and that's where the project is growing. And now, in addition, wherever we find land, so the neighboring farmers' land, roadside plantation, the Gram Panchayat land, or degraded land, some land we are also acquiring to add to our project site. So wherever we find a willing participant partner, we go and plant trees there, protect it for 3 to 4 years, and allow the nature to kind of regenerate. And the beauty is that the message of this project is spreading through word of mouth. People who have visited the project, they become our ambassadors. So the reason we are having this conversation is not because you saw us on any social media or any article or anything. Is because Mr. Bharat Urpure, he actually visited the project site. He saw what we were doing. He became a supporter. And then he told me, whenever you're coming to US, stop by my home. So I visited him 2 weeks ago in DC, and he said, let me connect you to the right people. So it's organically happening through word of mouth and connections. And we are now spread within about 25-30 kilometer radius of the project site, and currently have about 1,400 acres of land under our active management. And this number is growing every year. We are growing almost at the rate of around 70-75% every year. And now our ambitions are obviously growing. So I have spotted a large amount of barren land adjacent to a project site. And we hope to kind of green this whole space in the coming years. Not only on this area, but many other adjacent spaces wherever we see. And this entire activity is quite, I would say, timely, meaningful, because this decade has been declared as a decade of ecosystem restoration by the United Nations. And if we are successful in scaling up our project through crowdfunding, it could become a good example in the global level. Although we have started small, but slowly we are growing. And it'll be a nice story if we are able to grow it to a level where it becomes a project that gets cited at a global level. An example of a crowdsourced project where people came together through the methods that I kind of just described, and build something of value at a larger level. So this is the vision. We started with 4 acres, it became 200. Now we are at, actually the slide is slightly old, at 1,400, and we can continue to grow to a larger and larger level. And the beauty is that it's completely open source project. Aside from 220 tribals who are employed in the project, whom we are paying daily wages, all the other functions like accounting, finance, reporting, software, everything is done by volunteers. And slowly our volunteering team is also expanding, and many organizations are becoming partners to us. IIT Kanpur is a partner, IIT Bombay is a partner, Ecological Society, and as and when we are coming in contact with more and more organizations, they want to join with us in this journey. And a very naive, I would say, optimism or a vision that we have is somehow if we can spread the message and inspire every human on earth to plant 14 trees. And I'll tell you why 14 trees, why not 10 trees, or why not 8 trees. In the area of, I would say, climate action, I have always felt that there's a lot of doomsday scenario being marketed, negative imagery, oh my God, everything is going to come to an end, everything is going to get finished. So you need to act to stop this from happening. What I have noticed that any fear-based marketing or messaging, while it does inspire people to quickly act, it doesn't sustain. People become desensitized to that messaging quickly after some time. While if you want people to really engage and work on something, they have to derive a sense of joy. They have to derive a sense of purpose and alignment with that cause. So I've been looking for a narrative which will inspire people to act. So the story is that one day, if you throw numbers like, our emissions are going up by 200 gigatons every year. That number is so large that it didn't really mean anything to people. So I was looking for a narrative which will appeal to people. And one day I realized that, all of us are also contributing to this problem of global warming and climate change by adding carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Obviously our lifestyle, but also our act of breathing. When we breathe, we are taking oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So we add a little bit into the atmosphere. Very, very small amount, but nonetheless, it is a non-zero amount. So I calculated how much CO2 we add into the atmosphere through our lifetime. Assuming 100 years of lifespan, the total amount of CO2 we add is actually a non-trivial amount. So if you plant 14 trees, then the entire CO2 you breathe out in your entire lifespan will get absorbed, which means at least you make yourself guilt-free. That, okay, whatever I have added, I have neutralized. And people find this goal very doable. Hey, 14 trees I can do. I can plant one tomorrow in my backyard and, 2 others in my ancestral land in the village I come from, and so on. So we just want, people to those to whom this mission appeals, take steps and actively do this. And every visitor who comes to a project site, we require them to plant a tree. So that day their journey begins. And we are hoping that slowly we will be able to spread this message that, hey, you plant at least 14 trees. No. And so that's our modest, I would say, attempt to get some climate action talk started. And I'm pleased to say that the people who have associated with us, who have visited us, are all joining us on this journey. And the more people we can touch, it'll be good for all of us together. So I'll actually pause at this point, and maybe take any questions. And there's definitely more content I can show, but I will maybe wait for.
How far are you distance-wise and time-wise from Pune?
It's about 2 hours drive from Pune.
Okay.
North of Pune towards Nashik. So Pune-Nashik highway, if you travel on that, is near Rajguru Nagar town.
Oh, okay.
The west of Rajguru Nagar is where the Bhima Shankar forests are located. So this site is close to that area.
So Ramesh Deshpande is from there, right? Okay.
Yes. Ramesh Deshpande's village, Kanewadi, is very close by, about 7-8 kilometers from where we are located. Yes.
Namaste.
Is he also part of this group? Mr. Ramesh
joined always. Pravin, namaste.
Yes. Oh, you are already on the call?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, so you can actually use...
program miss
Thank you for joining the call. Wonderful.
Shri, namaste Shri.
Namaskar.
So actually, one more thing I can do is I have a short 90-second video that I will play, which will summarize the project. And I hope everyone who has a good internet connection can see this. So let me play this. And then we'll pause and take some questions.
Very nice.
So I'll actually stop the share and...
There are a few questions in the chat box, and if you want to take a look at those.
Just give me a sec.
I have a question. Out of the 100 trees you plant, how many die and you have to replant them?
So our aim is to achieve 100% survival. And the reason is we have a number assigned to each tree. We audit how the tree is doing. And if we find that the tree for some reason has not survived, we replace it. And since the choice of the trees, we are doing it from the native varieties.
Right.
The survival rate is high, and maintenance and making sure they get water every week results in very high survival rate. But once the donors, support a tree, we want to make sure that the tree stays alive. But there are some areas when it's beyond our control. So in that case, we are planning to share that update on the dashboard that look, for whatever reason this tree has not survived. But we want to be very transparent with that data and information.
Are you getting any recognition from the either state, local, or kind of federal government?
Yeah, I think slowly people are becoming aware, and I have been asked to sort of send a nomination for various awards, but I refuse to do that because I don't think it doesn't make sense to nominate yourself for an award. I mean, if somebody feels that it's very good, they should go to the effort. It is meaningless to, but I see it more as a, ground up movement that people have to join and participate. When, I think once it reaches a certain scale, that will be the right time to, engage with the government to take it to the further level. But till then, more work has to be done.
माझा प्रश्न हा आहे की तुम्ही जे सुरुवातीला म्हणालात की ते गवत उगवण्यासाठी ते जाळायचे ती जमीन, तसं पंजाबमध्ये पण होतंय नाही का?
हो.
पण मग तिथे कोणाला ही कल्पना नाहीये का? कारण त्यांचा हेतू केवळ शेती करणे आहे म्हणून. कारण दरवर्षी गेल्या वर्षी तर त्यांचा केवढा तरी मोठा मोर्चा झाला होता दिल्लीमध्ये त्या शेतकऱ्यांचा, कारण त्यांच्यामुळे पोल्युशन व्हायचं ना दिल्लीत.
ते दरवर्षी काय असतं की
म्हणजे मला काय म्हणायचंय, मला केवळ प्रश्न हा आहे की ती लोक जाळतात आणि हे महाराष्ट्रात जे जाळणं व्हायचं तसं तिकडे नाही का हा उपक्रम सुरू करता येणार?
अशी नेचर ऑफ हे दोन प्रॉब्लेम्स थोड्या वेगळ्या आहे. पंजाबच्या भागामध्ये शेतकरी त्यांना काय असं की एकदा ते 3 सायकल्स मध्ये उत्पन्न काढतात एका वर्षात, आणि लगेच दुसरं सुरू करायला त्यांना जेवढा बायोमास आहे तो जाळून संपवतात आणि ते ऍज अ फर्टिलायझर जमिनीत जातो, दुसरी सुरू करतात. इथला प्रॉब्लेम थोडा वेगळा आहे की इथे शेती नाही होते ह्या भागांमध्ये, नॉट अ कल्टिवेबल लँड. हे जागा फक्त गुरांना चारायला गवतसाठी वापरली जाते. आणि जर ह्याला जाळलं नाही तर काय होतं की नैसर्गिक पद्धतीने वेगवेगळ्या झाडं आणि वनस्पत्या वाढू लागतात. त्यांनी गवताचं प्रमाण थोडं कमी होतं, तर त्यांना गवताचं प्रमाण वाढवायचं आहे म्हणून ते जाळतात. तर डायनॅमिक्स इज डिफरंट. आणि त्याचं सोल्युशन हा आहे की आम्ही हे दाखवतोय की जेवढी तुमची गवताची गरज आहे तेवढं 25% जागेमधनं ती पुरवता येईल जर आपण त्या जागेचं मॅनेजमेंट व्यवस्थित केलं.
बरोबर, म्हणजे त्यांची तुम्ही गरज भागवली.
तर इट रिक्वायर्स अ बेटर लँड यूज मॅनेजमेंट. आणि वी आर शोईंग एन एक्झाम्पल ऑफ हाऊ टू डू इट. जेव्हा ते हळूहळू लोकांना दिसू लागतं, देन दे अग्री की ही पद्धत बरोबर आहे, तर आपण पण करूया. So we stay away from doing any awareness or lecturing. We just build a demonstration that people come and see and believe in.
बरोबर, तुम्ही फक्त उदाहरण दाखवून देताय त्यांना.
बरोबर.
Thank you.
So we'll make a YouTube video, but please send some information about how people can help you, if there's donation form, how they can help, and any contact information and so on.
तर आत्ता एक आहे की आमच्याकडे अजून वी डू नॉट हॅव FCRA yet. We have not put in time to seek FCRA approval. म्हणून we cannot take donations in dollars directly. If anybody who's interested in supporting us will have to do donation through their friends and family in India. So we can take donation in rupees, and we have a tax exempt status in India. So all the ATG donation receipts we can issue. It'll take us another year or two to get the FCRA approval. Now it is a little bit of a extra effort on part of people to contact somebody in India and ask them to donate and so on. And I will encourage all of you to go through that extra effort if you can afford. Because certainly we can benefit from your contribution, but it'll take us some time to enable the direct US dollar based donation. Having said that, I see a comment here from Mr. Ramesh Deshpande, and he actually has been onto the site himself. So may I invite him to share what he saw? It'll be like a witness's testimony.
Yeah, thank you, Pravin. I'm sorry I joined little late. मी इकडे आमच्या हॉस्पिटलमध्ये मिसेस हॉस्पिटल होते म्हणून त्यामुळे जरा हे झाला, लेट झाला. एनिवे, से मी जस्ट टू इन्फॉर्म ऑल द पार्टिसिपंट, मी स्वतः, थँक्स टू प्रवीण, ही टुक मी टू द फार्म विचली. आणि इट इज अन अमेझिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट, अमेझिंग एक्सपिरियन्स आणि अमेझिंग अचीवमेंट विच प्रवीण हॅज डन. आणि ही हॅज शोन ए मॉडेल हाऊ millions of dry lands of India can be developed into rich lands, with all kinds of plants and all kinds of biodiversity, birds and insects and what you not. So त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी मुख्य असा प्रयत्न केला. आय डोंट नो प्रवीण हाऊ मच यू हॅव सेड अबाउट इट, की कम्प्लिटली ड्राय आणलं तर त्यांनी बाहेरून पाणी न आणता ही हॅज डन various he's used various technologies to conserve water right there on the spot. रेन वॉटर जे येतं ते त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी साठवून तिथेच ते छोटी लेक्स करून किंवा विहिरी खणून तिथेच पाणी साठवून. दॅट इज नंबर वन. नंबर टू इज त्यांनी एवढे त्याच्यामध्ये संपूर्ण व्हरायटी ऑफ प्लांट्स ही हॅज प्लांटेड आणि दे हॅव ग्रोन व्हेरी वेल. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दॅट ही हॅज ऑल्सो डेव्हलप्ड sampling tree plants, planting material developed millions of trees. Secondly, he is working on a voluntary basis. He's done crowdfunding. आणि अनेक तिथल्या ग्रामपंचायतची कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट करून त्यांच्या ग्रामपंचायत मधल्या रस्त्यांवर झाडं लावली आहेत आणि जी झाडं प्रिझर्व करण्याचं ते जबाबदारी ते घेतात. प्रत्येक झाडाला कंपाऊंड, प्रत्येक झाडाच्या त्याला कोण त्याची काळजी घेणार, त्याचं तिथे डेसिग्नेटेड तिथे फार्मर किंवा इंडिव्हिज्युअल असतो. त्यांनी त्याचं आता प्रवीण सांगतो ऑडिट केल्यानंतर त्याला ऑडिटमध्ये काही प्रॉब्लेम आले तर ते प्रॉब्लेम सॉल्व्ह करण्याचं काम प्रवीणचे ऑरिजिनल करतात. आता त्यांनी जवळजवळ आय थिंक 100-200 लोक एम्प्लॉय केलेले आहेत. 200 झाले. तर हा दिस इज नॉट जस्ट अन ऑर्डिनरी प्रोजेक्ट, दिस इज अ मॉडेल दॅट होल इंडिया, wherever there are dry lands and even where there are irrigated lands or where there are adequate rainfall, this shows a model how India's lands can be developed into greeneries. As I said, they will be generating income. Besides, they will be creating biodiversity in various forms. So हा माझा स्वतःचा अनुभव आहे आणि मी स्वतः एक झाड लावलं तिथे and I should do more. आणि त्याचा त्यांनी जे मॉडेल दाखवलं असेल की कुठलं झाड कुठे आहे त्याचा तुम्हाला हिस्ट्री तिथे त्यांच्या कॉम्प्युटर प्रोग्राम मध्ये मिळते. सो यू कॅन ऑडिट युअर सेल्फ हाऊ युअर प्लांट इज डुईंग, प्लांट इज परफॉर्मिंग. सो आय थिंक आपण या एक्सपेरिमेंटचा प्रचार व्हायला पाहिजे. इट शुड बी इन्फॉर्मेशन शुड बी डिसेमिनेटेड. आणि प्रवीण, वी लेट अस थिंक अबाउट इट, हाऊ वी कॅन कलेक्ट डोनेशन्स. इफ दोज हॅव रुपी फंड्स इन इंडिया, they can easily help in helping people here to provide rupee funds and get them disbursed to you, and त्यांचं नाव लावता येईल, त्यांचे काय मेमरी क्रिएट करायची ती करता येईल आणि ह्या प्रोग्रामला बूस्ट देता येईल. By the way, Pravin has also acquired some 200 acres of land. Now you are telling me 1,000 acres now, right? You have now you are 1,000 acres of land. आणि त्यामुळे ह्या एवढ्या लँडवर झाडं लावणं हे करणं याला पैसे पाहिजेत. So I think Shri, I think you have a group of 300 people. So let us spread this message to 300 people, and then we can have more and more such programs, because this is the model that India has to follow. मी त्याला प्रवीणला सजेस्ट केलं की आपण ऍग्रिकल्चर मिनिस्टरला कॉन्टॅक्ट करून, कारण ही हॅज अ प्रोग्राम टू प्लांट अ ट्री every day. Wherever he goes, he plants a tree. So he may like this model, and we have to bring him here so that this may get not only publicity but may get some government support, and the message will go across the country. So there are various ways are being doing. So I intervened just to tell you that I have been there in person and I have seen this work, and this is amazing. And if anybody must get the Nobel Prize, it's Pravin who should get it for the work he has done there.
I think
Thank
you're
you.
being
Thank
too
you.
kind with your words. But I took an opportunity to find your picture of the day you visited.
Oh, thank you, thank
And
you, thank you.
yeah.
When I was, that's long ago. I think that was 2017 or something. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you.
Praveen certainly will have it on YouTube, and even though less people attended, we have actually distribution of more than 2,000 people actually. So, not 300, 2,000. Okay. So
Yeah.
we can just see who is interested in donating and so on. And as Ramesh said, there are many people have accounts in rupees in Indian banks, and so they may be able to again just provide the information how that money from a bank in India can be sent to you, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my sort of journey with you, and yeah, and thank you.
And in general, even though the participation for this meeting is because of the holidays and so on, still I think the overall people get the YouTube recording and they will listen to it, and then they will ask you questions later on, as needed. Okay.
Happy to answer any questions that come my way.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great evening. Bye.
If somebody has a question, please go ahead. Otherwise, I think we'll end the meeting. All right. So Praveen, I think we'll stop the recording and end the meeting, and then